Very good morning and welcome to Core Finance TV. I'm Malcolm Graham Wood and today I'm doing another CEO interview. And I'm delighted today to be able to welcome Martin Hull, and it's your first visit to Core Finance today. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, thank you.
Great to see you. It's only a little over 9 months since you've been in the job, and you've been CFO and MD now of the business. You spent a long time at Rothschilds before that, but doing M&A and so on. So why don't you talk us through the process and how you got here and how you see it now you are here?
Delighted to. Look, you're right, I was very fortunate to spend 18 years at Rothschild. It really was a brilliant grounding in the sector and also in the global capital markets. I had a lot of experience working on a number of transactions in across many territories, which again is great experience. However, there was always this sense that I wanted to try an opportunity to work in-house.
Yeah.
An ability to drive a business forward and to lead a business and to use the skills that I developed as an advisor and bring them to bear for maximising returns to shareholders. So when the opportunity to join Echo came up, it was something I jumped at. Yeah. It is a great team, and I think we've got a very exciting platform as a vehicle for growth, and that's what excites me and interests me going forward.
Well, that sounds fantastic because, of course, you know, there's no replacing all that experience that you've had. You've looked at so many different deals over the years and so on. It will give you a very interesting opportunity to look at those sort of deals from this side of the table, so to speak. The deal-making pedigree, as you call it, is interesting. And when you came to Echo, did you feel immediately that you could put to good use the experience and so on that you'd had on the business development side at Rothschilds, and therefore were able to assess the position that Echo was in on that front?
Absolutely. So I think it's sometimes forgotten that deal making and business development is a core part of many oil company strategies. It is something that certainly at Echo we're looking to do. We're looking to expand the portfolio, build on what we have already, but offer more growth as we go forward. And the key for us is within the context of our existing portfolio, what can we add that brings more value to shareholders? We've got a great base, a great platform, but we want to expand that and grow. As I said, that improves the asset base for us. And within that context, one of the things that we're trying to do is look at very innovative transactions. As I say, with accretive value for shareholders, and innovative structures that allow us perhaps to benefit from some of the upside without taking all of the initial risks. And those are some of the things that we're working on at the moment.
And this is particularly interesting because we mustn't forget that, 2 or 3 years ago, Echo didn't exist. It started, from nothing. It's got to a certain extent, a modest but exciting portfolio, which we'll come on to in a minute. But it will be, the size and success and future of Echo will be determined entirely by M&A and by the deals that you do. So what's been the focus of what you've been looking at most of all since you took over as running Echo?
Well, so M&A has been one part of that, and I'll come on to that. But initially, the key focus was to secure and build the relationships with our existing stakeholders in countries. So we have partners, we have governments that we want to work with, and they're very important to us going forward. I also wanted to put in place a clear plan on how we're going to deliver all the things that we want to do in 2019 and into 2020. And having that clear vision of what we're doing, I think, is very important for a small team such as ourselves. Then in terms of M&A itself, yes, as I've said, it's got to be a transaction or new assets that add value from our existing base. We don't want to dilute substantially the very attractive, what we believe is a very attractive portfolio that we already have. Yeah. We want to grow and complement that. Of course, in the near term, the focus of my colleagues and the team is on delivering Tapiaki as we enter what is actually a very, very busy phase, and
Yeah.
we can talk about that.
Okay, so let's move on to what we're all calling the jewel in the crown, the Tapiaiki. We've seen the various announcements. You're making progress on the seismic. You have 2 cubes and so on. Why don't you talk us through the progress so far and the next steps for Tapiaiki?
Absolutely. So you're right. Tapiaiki is the jewel in the
Yeah.
portfolio as it exists today. And I think it's worth remembering that Tapiaiki was the reason we went into Argentina.
Yeah.
That is where the excitement is and the upside. We've been very focused on doing the right work to deliver as much chance of success on that asset as possible. And at the moment, that is seismic. I'm delighted to say, as we've announced, we have finished the first cube of seismic acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
We are about a third of the way through the second. And that means we're going to be going into processing and interpreting that data, so that by the end of the summer we will have completed that, as the expectation. And we then look to prioritise our top leads for planning for the drilling towards the end of this year and into 2020. We've got a 4-well programme. So, that is going to be something it is something we're very focused on now, and something we're very excited about going forward. I think, we appreciate that as things stand, it's been something that shareholders have to be a bit patient on. Seismic is very important work. But it takes a bit of time, and it allows us to prepare for the drilling and improve our chances of success on the drilling as we go forward.
And so, as you are at the moment, going forward on the assessing of the seismic and in all the different areas, you haven't started off with a premeditated idea of where you might want to drill or where you think are going to be the best places. You've got a completely blank sheet of paper on that front?
Well, that's the point of doing the seismic, so that we collect the data, we can assess where the best opportunities, the best risk-reward balance is for us, and we can prioritise our energies on those assets. We do that in conjunction with our partner, who also is committed to this asset, very excited about what we're seeing. So yes, we're going to go where the data leads us, and we think that's the right strategy.
So the bottom line really is, what would a success case for Tapiaiki look like? I mean, when you've seen the seismic, when you've decided where to go, I think initially you just mentioned it's a 4-well program of exploration program towards the end of this year and then next year. So what would a success look like in terms of those different timescales?
So I think firstly, we have to have a note of caution that exploration is risky. So that's always the case for exploration. Mm-hmm. Nevertheless, we remain very encouraged and excited about the geology of the area. There's a number of reasons why. There's been a number of discoveries in the vicinity, close to our acreage, which gives us some confidence. We're also seeing a number of the big players coming into acreage around us. So we have Conoco coming to the south of us, we have YPF to the north of us, and that is, again, that's encouraging. And we should not forget that on Tapiaiki itself, there have been some wells drilled in the past which have encountered high pressure gas. But in terms of what success looks like, as you say, we've got 4-well program planned, end of this year, beginning of next year, and our early stage economics, the scoping economics that we've done in the house, TCF of gas found in Tapiaiki has a big source of value for Echo, and it could be it's clearly something that we're excited about, and that remains the case.
And this is conventional, of course, because quite a lot of the remainder of the Argentina is unconventional, where we had the sort of big dash by some of the majors a few years ago, and they're developing that out. Interesting to see some of these big companies coming back into working in your play, and the timing of that looks like you've got in there nicely before the the other majors and
Exactly.
companies.
That's what we believe. Yep.
Yeah. So let's push all that into what might it look like for timing, for news flow. What would a shareholder expect to see going forward over the next few months in terms of what you might be able to tell them in terms of Tapiaki and so on?
So I think it's a very, very clear program of news flow. The key work in the short term is focusing on the acquisition of the seismic, interpretation and the processing of that, as we plan for drilling end of this year, beginning 2020. And we've talked about the upside potential that we see potentially there in Tapiaki. Whilst that is going on and as a focus for the company, we continue to look at M&A growth opportunities, generally high grading the portfolio. As I say, the strategy on that is clear about what would deliver enhanced shareholder returns, and that is the focus. And then, of course, in the very short term, we're keeping a very close eye on wells that are going on in Bolivia, very close to our existing acreage. And that is something we're, as I say, keeping a close eye on, and we'll decide where we take those assets in the months ahead.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you very much for that. I would like to ask at this stage, for people who don't know that much about Echo, a little bit of maybe a thumbprint of what Echo looks like overall, if you wouldn't mind, just
absolutely.
Give us
So Echo is a exploration-led Latin America oil and gas company. We're focused as it stands in Argentina and Bolivia. We have 2 assets in Argentina, a production base in CDL, and then, as we've talked about, the Tapiaki, which is very much the growth story for us, where we're working hard to prepare for drilling end of this year, beginning of next. In Bolivia, which was the original asset that the company started with as Echo, we have 2 technical agreements where we're studying a high potential or a high impact exploration acreage in Bolivia, where around us partners or other players are also exploring and drilling wells at the moment.
Sounds very exciting. At this stage, I'd just like to say a big thank you to Martin Hull, who's been in here today for the first time. Martin is CEO of Echo Energy. It's been a joy to have you in the studio. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
And today's CEO interview, Martin Hull, CEO of Echo Energy, and it's Malcolm Graham Wood. See you next time. Bye now.